Unscripted, unshackled, uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for more mature audiences only.
It's Miguel and Holly, Uncensored.
And we are live right now on the Miguel and Holly Facebook page and the YouTube channel, Miguel and Holly Uncensored. Let's see here, getting everything working. We got a special guest that we have on today.
What?
And I just wanted to play this one more time.
Stofers are gonna come sue you.
Hey, I'm promoting them. I'm promoting Stofers. They're great. Holly, are you okay?
Yeah.
You had this look on your face just now.
Oh, sorry.
When our boss was just in here. We're starting the podcast a little late.
Mm-hmm.
And
Did I have that face on the whole time?
Yep. I'm pretty sure our boss, Daddy AJ, is gonna text me later and be like, "Is Holly okay? Is she mad at me?" You in the camera looked like you wanted to punch a demon, a person, somebody in the face, and I was like,
remember when she was frozen earlier today?
That's when I saw a ghost, apparently. Look scary. Woo. Woo. Yeah. No, I have some things that are circulating. Like, I'm just ruminating on some things. I can't stop thinking about it. And I also happen to be texting a friend about like this particular topic where I'm just having some difficulties with an individual in my life. And it's very difficult. I can't, like, I'll be okay for a while and then it just pops back into my head and then I have to go through the whole cycle. And it's one of those situations where sometimes, and I don't know if you do this or not, but like sometimes you create entire conversations.
oh my God.
Like, you know, like maybe you don't, maybe not a lot of people do this, but I'll like have pretend conversations about what I say and like what they might say. And then what I say to that. And like these conversations can go on for a long time. And then sometimes if the conversation ends, I'll start a new one. And then I'll think about what that conversation might sound like and what they would respond to that. And then I'll get real heated. And then I'll be like, well, I would say this. And then I have entire, like, I go through the emotions of this pretend conversation. Thank you, Kelvin. Because I guess it's not that common to do this. Are you telling me you don't do this, Miguel?
No, I don't.
You don't?
Nope, not at all. Because
I do this often.
No, I don't. Because for me, I'm like, it's usually not right ever. So to me, I put that in the space of why stress out about it if you don't know like the outcome, you know, but
and maybe that's an empath problem because oftentimes some of these conversations do come to fruition and they do go in similar paths. So I guess it's like me either trying to prepare or me trying to like get better at my responses for one thing. And honestly, like I think I talked about this on the air a couple weeks ago. My psychologist, my therapist, and I had like a role-playing conversation about how a particular conversation might go. And it did help me actually, because I had a rough conversation with someone this week and I really, really tried to stay calm. But when you have a conversation with someone that is very different than how you operate in your mind, like for example, I'm sure this person is not a person that comes up with pretend scenarios. So like when you just are that different as people, it's just, I can't stop doing it. Like, I think that it's an anxiety thing. I think people with anxiety disorders do this, or maybe empathic people who can often feel how others are feeling do this. And I'm not saying it's a good thing. As an empath, we got to be, you know, vigilant about our boundaries and try to not absorb others' energy, not predict what other people are going to do. Because as a people pleaser, I do that too. So it's not good that I do this. But like oftentimes when I get sucked into that spiral of doing it, it's very hard to disengage, especially like just in the moment. And then what happened is our boss, Daddy AJ, came in and we were all like kind of in the same conversation. But what sucks is that sometimes the conversation between you, me, producer Calvin, and Daddy AJ shifts into something that I'm not saying I'm not interested, but it really doesn't pertain to me. So it's hard because I'm the only person not in the room for this conversation particularly. So I was like kind of drifting, and then my mind was going through that pretend conversation. So as y'all are talking about like promo suite, I'm like in my head actually pretending to have it, not just like the players. Like I'm picturing the conversation and I'm seeing that person's face and I'm hearing these horrific things that this person might say, and I'm thinking of like how I can stand my ground, and then I go off on a tangent where I'm like, okay, but maybe if I try again to be like this, maybe this person can understand where I'm coming from if I do it this way. And then eventually that goes, no, they're never gonna get it. I have to just drop it. And so then you're like, why you got a face on? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I was in a different reality just now.
I would go through all these emotions at my last job because I had a somewhat difficult coworker who you wouldn't know where they were, what version they were at that time. So I would go through these conversations as well in my head, and I would get extremely defensive and
Yes.
when the actual conversation would happen. So in turn, I would expect them to be nasty, and then they ended up not being nasty, but I would still respond because I had already practiced to be defensive because I expected
that can
them
happen
to be.
too.
So
Well, because you're also trained because they have been nasty in the past.
yes, exactly.
So you're like, I'm prepared. Like, I don't want to be punctured by this person, and I know it's going to be bad. So let me put my armor up. And so then it's just,
It's so
why is it so
interesting.
hard for people sometimes?
Yeah. It's so interesting that you talk about the role playing with your therapist because we used to do that as well. So,
Really?
yeah.
It's ick when you are doing it with another person. That's when it is helpful,
right.
because they can sort of course correct you on where you go off the rails. But when you're just doing it in your own head, it's just you and the wilderness.
Right.
I'm
That's
just
so
really floored that
fascinating.
you don't do that.
Nope. That's just because I really made an effort years ago that like, I don't remember where the quote, if it's a Maya Angelou or Oprah or somebody, where it's like, why would you spend the time worrying about something that you literally can't work on until you know you need to worry about it? So like I legit make a concerted effort that I'm like, if I literally in this moment can't do something about it, there's nothing I can do that's going to make me feel better by going over something. So I need to move on to the 50 million other things in my life that I've got to worry about, or that I can change, or that I can work on, than that. I've just always been like that.
But I guess maybe it's a trauma. Maybe it's like a past trauma where I feel like if I'm not prepared, it puts me in fight or flight or freeze almost. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, where it's like dangerous. My body feels like I'm in danger if I am not prepared. So it's like I can't stop.
I guess because I've always been, which is why I think I kind of do well at this job, is because I'm good on my feet. And so like even in those type of situations where I feel like it's good, there's gonna be conflict or there's gonna be something crazy, I'm like, I can still handle it in that moment.
Ooh,
because like for me, I'm like, all I can do is speak my truth. And so like, which is probably why I wouldn't make a great lawyer. Because I'm just like, all I can do is do my truth. And if that's not good enough, then like, I don't know what else I can do for you.
That was important. Go back.
What?
All I can do is speak my truth. And if that's not good enough, oh, well,
yeah,
that's it. That's what it is. You think if it's not good enough, oh, well, I think what happens if my truth isn't good? I'm about to cry right this minute. If my truth isn't good enough.
Right.
Panic.
Right. There's the difference.
Yeah. What can I do to be better?
Right.
What can I change?
Yeah.
How can I make you happy?
Right.
Yes.
Where I guess for me, in like how my life has gone, I've had to, like, if I didn't boost myself up as a gay black man who had a learning disability, the world was gonna fucking trash me. So like if I didn't just say, oh well, I would not fucking be here because every turn of my life and my career growing up, my education, somebody was like, no. And so that's why I've had to literally my whole life be like, oh well, I'm gonna do it. Oh well, I'm gonna do it. And so I guess I've just taken that because that's how I had to arm myself against all the negative comments of like, you stutter, you're fat, you're poor, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I had to be like, if you aren't, what's that phrase? If you're not paying me or fucking me, like,
True
well.
that. There's so much pressure. Like, what about
Right.
people that depend on you?
Right.
What if you fail? What about
Right.
them?
Are they gonna die?
I don't know. It feels like it.
But are they going to die? Like literally, if they're not okay. And now, granted, every situation is different, and we're
Yeah.
painting
Right.
with a broad brush here.
Yeah. But the disappointment that they might feel, or like the disappointment or the anger that would come, that feels like a death to me.
And that's that empath, where we both have always said like we're empath, but like we break at a certain point.
Right.
Where I'm able to compartmentalize, and because I've had to do that because of the way our society has built up as a gay Black man, if I don't do that, then I would be a ball of just anxiety. So I've had to have that. Right.
What do you think?
Ollie's
my
like,
life-
hello.
I'm still living. I'm just a ball of anxiety. Like
Right.
that's how I live my life. It's fine.
Damn,
I mean,
Holly,
it's not, but it is.
you like really feel like, because I 100% relate to you right now, but you like
Yeah.
really intensely feel these emotions,
God,
because
it sucks.
I do get anxiety as well. Like I just want to make people around me happy, and if they're not happy, what can I do? What can I change? And if you're not happy,
Right.
what like I start picking my nails, all of that. But you're also a mom, and you're also everything else that's going on. Like I get
Yeah.
Yeah.
not that it wasn't hard to not get, but
No,
I was
but
like,
welcome to it. My crazy
yeah,
life. That's
yeah.
what this is when Miguel, when I start doing this, I've been doing this whole conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like my little, it's almost like
That's
don't
how I
wanna s-
know. If we're in a meeting or
like,
something, and I see
I'm starting
Holly
to
do
get
these,
stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
I have a finger thing I do. It feels like it's like on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to say that because I'm not like trying to, walk on that. I'm not being ableist, but I'm just saying like
Right.
I have a thing and I can't, like, I don't even know I'm doing it. And I just look down, I'm like, oh, there it is. There's my finger thing.
That's how I always know.
Anyway, I'm better.
Well-
I'm good. I'll just
Wait, hold
I'll
on,
deal with
because
that
I
later.
feel like she's been listening this entire time, and she probably has some insights. We have for new Charlotte fam, we have Soul Worker Stacy. Soul Worker Stacy on the podcast. Holly, do you want to set her up? Like, what exactly? Or you know what? Hold on.
Yeah.
It's a podcast. We don't have to do the whole show thing where it's like, let's do it in like 30 seconds. Soul Worker Stacy, how you doing, girl?
Hey, how are you guys?
Wonderful.
We're going.
Well, we're getting through it, girl.
As you've heard,
You've been
we're having
listening.
some feelings.
Oh, you know I have a whole lot to say about all of this, don't you?
Oh, I bet. I was like
No,
literally,
you
I had you turned down, but I could like see the phone line jumping at me, and I'm like, I bet she's probably screaming that she wants to say something. So
Just a
before
little
we get to that part, Stacy, tell someone like Kelvin who's not familiar with you and doesn't know our whole past and everything, who and what is Soul Worker Stacy?
Oh, goodness gracious. That's a loaded question if you did ever ask anything like that before. Okay. So, hey, new friend, how are you?
Hi, Soul Worker Stacy. Nice to meet you.
It's wonderful to meet you. Okay, so legit, here we go. And I'm going to treat you like I treat anybody who gets on a session with me. I like to say that I'm like an ADHD squirrel on crack.
Oh.
All over the place all the time.
Okay.
It is like a legit thing, though. It's one of those things that I walk around and I can feel everybody. I'm a soul worker. I work with people's souls. Oh, goodness gracious. It is something that has become such a deep thing for me. And it's everything from like what some people would call a psychic medium. Some people, I am just one in a million out of the loop of normal. It's so hard to explain exactly how to put me in one little box. I will say that I prefer to believe that I work through God. It is something that's so near and dear with me. I always say that I am a spiritual advisor or a personal development specialist. I can feel everything, past, present, future. I say that I'm God's radio, and I work, and I can feel everybody in heaven. I mean, Miguel, Holly, we've got some stories.
Yeah. Yeah, I think specifically too with Stacey is that she's, because you have met maybe like a psychic before, but like for her to be like a psychic medium, we'd say soul worker, but the mediumship abilities are just mind blowing, where she can sense people who have passed or like messages that are received from the beyond. I don't know. It just is very fascinating.
I've never
It's
done
incredible.
I've never done
Yeah.
anything with a medium.
Yeah.
Oh.
Girl,
And
get
you know,
ready.
I've already been reading him because it's like, hey,
New friend. How can you not? It's just there.
exactly.
Um.
And yes.
Oh
yes.
no. Go ahead, Stacey.
Oh, I was gonna say Holly, my love, my dear, my dearest.
We
realize
just talked the other day. I know
I
we
know.
did. I know, but it was in my head. I can't just get pop back and girl. It happens.
It's lack of control as well, because I'm a lot like Miguel. When Miguel and I have a lot in common with that whole thing of like one thing after another. We've had to like fight our way through life, learning disabilities and labels and whatnot. And I've gotten to that place where I'm like, screw you. If you don't like me and if you don't accept me, then that is your loss. I know that my only accountability in this world is to God. Anybody else can go fuck themselves. Forgive my language, but that's how this rolls.
Period.
And it's not even about worthiness. It's just about you kind of stop caring about everybody else because you know you're okay with you, if that makes any sense.
Let me kind of take a detour just quickly. Not a detour. It's on the right. It's on the same path. I guess the biggest feelings come not from like, because I think that I have finally, after like 3 or so years of this journey, gotten to that point with myself. And like it's a wavery line. Like some days are better than others, obviously. It's a process. But where I really stumble and fall are like this job and my kid. Those are two pressures that it's like I feel like I have to hold up, like I have to, people have to think about me a certain way, or like I have to protect my career and I have to protect my kid. And so those are two things. And, I think maybe those two, like for myself, I think I've really made some good gains in the past however many years. But I haven't figured out how to not give a fuck when it comes to my kid, and like how how people see me could correlate to how she's treated. Does that make sense?
It's your trauma. Absolutely. Absolutely. When you really think about everything you've gone through personally, yeah, it's your trauma response. And it's also like you're terrified of like, hey, if X, Y, and Z happens, then everything else falls apart. But that's also mind, like it's that illusion, not necessarily reality, if that makes any sense.
Oh God. And here I thought I was the only person in my family that was not delusional. And like now I'm delusional too. We're just a bunch of delusional Sallys over at my house. If you ever come over, we're all just delusional together. I say that because it's partly true. Because my person has bipolar and my mom has dementia. So we're all slightly delusional. It's fine.
You're like, we're all just here. Hey, girl, just have a good old
mama.
Golly. All right. Well, at least there's that. I mean, at least I can deal with that. I can work with that.
It's in the way that you go ahead and you play out conversations is also a way to control. It's also a way to prepare. It's also a way. It's all trauma response, and it's all just trying to take that deep breath going, well, and then too, in a way, you're not letting yourself down if something does fall apart, because at least you've backed yourself up 1,000 ways to Sunday by preparing yourself to have those conversations, if that makes any sense.
Yes, because I will know that I've done my best at least.
Exactly. So yeah, it's just trauma and control
It's
and lack of.
all it's yeah, and a lot of that goes back to childhood. Which, speaking of, I actually have my therapist today at 2:30. So
Oh, well,
Hey.
right on time.
right on time, she always is. So at least we'll talk about that. I'm gonna write that down. So we're
So,
good. She knows. Stacey knows.
Stacey, we haven't
Yes.
spoken with you obviously on the podcast because it took a little hiatus as we were coming here to Charlotte and starting up our show here with iHeartRadio and everything. But I have noticed so hold on, let me take a couple steps back. For new Charlotte fam that are listening, we've had Stacey on to give readings to some of our fam members that wanted to have some closure to someone that they may have lost. And how we even met Stacey from the very beginning was Stacey one day heard us on the radio in Florida, and she heard my voice and was
Mhm.
like, I need to talk to this gentleman because there is someone and something telling me that he needs a message. And so she reached out through a mutual friend because if she would have slid up in my DMs, I would have been like, who the fuck is this? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Right.
But we had a mutual friend that said, hey, I've got a friend that have these special abilities. They feel like they need to talk to you. And I was like, is this a scam? Are you trying to like
get his credit card info?
right? Like, do you need the last four digits of my social security number? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, I've experienced her gifts. I've had other people that have. You should talk with her. And I was like, all right, girl, like whatever. It was like right in the middle of the pandemic. We may or may not have like been in lockdown still.
Yeah.
And so she came over to my house and we had a session, and I was blown away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because there were things that, you know, we are open books on our show and our podcast, but we are still human beings that we have to hold some things private.
Yeah.
And there are things that I've never talked about on the show that keep me up at night, or things from family that I don't talk about because it's not my story to tell. And she knew all of that.
Wow.
And so I sat across from her in my kitchen, my dining room, and I was just like, what the actual fuck?
It is real crazy.
What? And so as our relationship has grown, we've had Stacey on our podcast and on our show in Tampa. And she's helped out a lot of people find peace. And it's shocking to see one of those sessions go down and to actually experience it for yourself.
That's cool. That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
Kelvin, we didn't prepare you before that. So we're not going to say, ready for a reading?
Yeah, no,
That'll
we'll
be
give you a minute.
something that you'll, you know.
I mean, we could. No.
I'm down.
Well, we'll do that maybe next week. But I am curious, Stacey. There's something going on in the world right now. Everyone,
There's a lot of somethings.
Right?
Come on.
Mhm.
what is happening? Do you feel something with like the other world, or like I don't know, what's happening?
There's a major transition happening at the very least. I mean, and you, as we've said, we've been like friends. And it's interesting though, because people think, oh, you guys are like friends. No, I keep everybody at a very safe distance because I feel like it's cheating if I get any closer to anybody. And I'll feel Holly and I'll call her and be like, hey, what's going on? I'll feel Miguel and be like, hey girl, what's going on? Like, I need to talk to you. But other than that, we really don't talk.
Right.
And with the world around us and everything else going on, there is a major shift. And quite honestly, I even started homeschooling my kids because I'm like, just no, I'm not loving all the energy. I'm not loving the funk. There's a lot of heaviness. There's a lot of craziness going on, and it's definitely just one of those times where we just need to be as positive as we can, and it's a way of like the universe, God, whatever that whatever's above us is that place of we need to focus on love, we need to focus on understanding, and we need to throw away our egos. We need to seriously start understanding that everybody just is about love. And I know that sounds like such a cliche, but it's so valuably important right now because it truly is important. It's the thing. Without love, there's nothing. And it's falling apart. Everything's falling apart because of
Well,
that.
it's the only thing, right? Like, this is our soul's purpose. I mean, that's what the universe is. That's that energy. Like, we're on Earth, it's like a heavier density where there's like hate and war and, all these negative energetic emotions. But like, we're all created from one source, and that source is love.
Yeah, it's all love, and it's some scary times right now, because it's so uncertain, and even I can't pinpoint the exacts. All I know is that we just need to remind each other how much we appreciate each other. We need to remind each other that we are all human, that we are all imperfect, and we need to have some grace with each other and ourselves, and just remind ourselves of love. And that's crazy, because through the pandemic, we were all so appreciative of that quiet time and of that family time, and we're losing it again. It's like the where fingertips all over again. And that's one of the reasons why I started homeschooling with my kids, because I'm like, I miss that quality time with my people. You know what I mean? Right. And we just don't make that time for ourselves anymore with our loved ones as much as we should.
Yeah. Do you think there is a transition happening that like we're shaking off, the past 30, 40 years of something we've been building up to? Like, it feels like if I'm watching a movie, perfect example. Do y'all remember that Matt Damon movie where his daughter is like in jail in Paris and he goes overseas to like get her? With streaming services, like things aren't as like big as they used to be. Well, Abe and I started watching it, and we're in this part of the film last night where like things are like really happy, and like he's found this like new life. He's helping his daughter out. His daughter is in jail, but he's working on getting her out, but he's found this new life in Paris. And I was like, we need to pause this movie because I feel like something bad is about to happen, and like that's gonna give me anxiety before I go to bed. So like, let's stop the movie here before like the bad shit goes down. Because like, when there's 30 minutes left, and it's gonna be drama from here until the end.
Right. Yeah,
I feel like that's where we are in the world.
That's where we are. Yes. It's like, I'm looking into that Bible going, okay. Like, you wonder because of how everything is. It's almost like the cliff is falling into the water kind of feeling. And I don't like it. I'm not going to lie. And I'm not trying to go like all doomsday and everything like that. But there's some stuff going on that it's like, I'm not so certain about everything, and this is that time to really get in check with yourself. And maybe that's why it's happening the way that it is. So people can start really kind of reorganizing their thoughts about
and
things.
Vibrate to the high is good. I'm telling you, there is, it's like a shift happening for all of the spiritual stuff I watch on TikTok. There is a shift. It's like from, the lower density, low energy to the higher one. And this is like out there, but it's like there's two earths emerging, like the one that's been going along here for the longest time, thousands of years or whatever. And like the newer higher vibrational, like high spirit shit. And it's like we're pulling apart. And right now we're still in like the same, it's like Doctor Strange, right? We're in like it's not a multiverse situation, kind of is, but it's like almost, the realities are splitting, and like people that aren't down with this and they're just like doing their everyday job and they're like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care about nobody. I'm just doing my thing and I'm just trying to get money. And I'm just like, they're just going to continue on the same earth. But like the people that are like thinking and feeling a little bit higher and want more, and like Stacey said, love, it's going to be separating. And pretty soon, like we're going to be on two trains in different tracks.
I have a question. Is it more so like an event, or is it like a series of events that we're going through this shift?
I think it's more.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's going to be more of a series. And it's going to be one of those things that we look back in 30 years going, whoa, the world is nothing like it was then as it is now, if that makes any sense. It's definitely a series of different events. And I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I'm not going to lie. It's not looking great.
So
I don't know,
when you say that, like, is it a physical separating or worlds, or is it a like technology is going to take us to this whole different path? Or like, when we say these things, like what or do we know yet?
I don't think we know exactly what it looks like.
Right.
I don't know enough to know. Somebody may have a better answer.
Right.
But do you, Stacey?
I think there's going to be a restart. I think we're going to lose half the stuff that we've gained. And I know that sounds kind of goofy, but it's like we can only keep going before everything falls apart again, like dominoes, if that makes any sense. Or like when you're building up on something and how it has to fall down to rebuild. That's what it feels like. We're coming up to a crest where we're going to fall apart again, and that's what it feels like. It's going to be us falling apart and having to rebuild and do better. And yeah, that's the only way I can describe it.
How long till the Renaissance?
I'm sitting around with my titties out eating grapes. I don't give a fuck.
That's the clip. That's the clip for social media today. Find out why Holly wants to just be sitting with her titties out eating grapes. Listen to Miguel and Holly Uncensored on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Well,
So, I do think, though, as we're sitting here talking, and I don't want to be doom and gloom, but I'm wondering if what we're talking about is going to be some sort of world war
Mm-hmm.
or some sort of like our government, America, that has been a focal point of the world
Mm-hmm.
for the past 100 years is going to change, and it's not going to look the same. And so that's going to have ripple effects around the world. I was just listening to a podcast yesterday where they were talking about how in the 90s, like once the wall fell and in Russia, and then all of a sudden communism was over, and they started to globalization started. And one of the things and one of the theories that people had, or they've had, is that once you started seeing McDonald's and KFC and Taco Bell, all of these things that are very American, go to different countries, we're all going to be okay. It's going to be like one big happy world. Well, now walls are starting to go back up. Things are starting to change, and we're not looking so great in other places. And so we're not this big conglomerate of everyone needs to be on the wavelength that we're on because we're so great when we are having really hard problems at home. And so how can we tell the rest of the world that they need to fix their
We're
shit?
not that great.
Right. Well, we all realize that now. I mean, think about the early 2000s when you couldn't even
we all don't realize that.
Well, no, we don't. But those people are clearly delusional. But think about the Dixie Chicks, when they criticized the president, and then like in society,
everybody was on the same page. We're like, we are American, period. Right. The best.
Yep.
And now we've gotten to a point that we're like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Yeah, and the thing that I also I personally think about is the fact that they're trying to get us comfortable with nuclear war, and like they're doing things with New York City and just like, hey, we have an emergency broadcast just in case. And it's like, do you guys know something we don't? And are you trying to get us comfortable with it so there's not chaos?
I think that's possibly a screen for some other shady shit going down. I would not put it past them to be like, you know what? We have some shady shit going on. You know what we haven't talked about in a while? Nukes. Or like,
right.
I don't know, like, hey, it's fine. Or something like, I also feel like the government plays these shadow games with us.
Yeah. It's definitely... Yeah, I would not be surprised if we're reset. That's all I'm saying, is that I just would not be surprised if we have a reset.
Well,
so Stacey,
we'll see you in another week. Hope we don't die.
Yeah, Holly will be here with her titties out eating grapes, so it's fine.
So love your people today. That's what I say.
Amen.
That's it. Love, appreciate, take those moments. Go see a sunset. Go watch a sunrise. Go and just be calm with yourself and just sincerely appreciate every little ounce of what we are given, because you don't know when it's going to be gone. So,
Stacey, give us something hopeful. Give us something good.
Oh, life is good. Everyone's good. I mean, when you really think about it, I always am a big believer in, for you newcomers, you'll hear it a lot out of my mouth. Everything has to fall apart so it can get put back together again. There's got to be a sunset to start a new day. And if it is the end of the world where all the crazy starts. There's going to be something coming back from it. It's a rebirth. Transition is all about rebirth, and there's always a positive to come from a negative constantly. It's just to show appreciation for us to grow, because how can we grow without pain, and how can we, be better without that kind of pain?
I agree.
So true. Well, Stacey, how are you doing before we
I'm
get up out of here?
fine. You know how it
Okay.
is.
Stacey's always just going to tell you she's fine.
She's like, I'm fine. Everything's fine.
I'm
Everything's
good.
great. Nothing to see here, folks.
Everything's great. My goodness gracious, it's been a minute since we really talked.
Yeah.
My mom passed. For those of you who didn't know, she was
sorry.
diagnosed with cancer and then died within a few weeks.
Mm.
And that's been like crazy interesting to me because of what I do for a living.
Mm.
And for those of I have followers that we've been in contact with, and it's interesting because my mother and I weren't extremely tight, and I still feel her, as because she's in heaven. Y'all know how I roll with heaven. And it's cool because I don't feel her ego and I don't feel the anger. I feel the happy person she actually was inside. So it's really kind of been interesting because it's helped me flex my muscles a little bit better. And I've actually grown more for my gift because of the situation, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's really neat. I love what I do with all of this. It's really, really stinging cool. So yeah, life's good. Life's always
It's a beautiful
always be
outlook on death, by the way.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I love death. And that sounds like such a weird thing to say, but when you really think about life, it's so temporary. And
Yes.
death is really where it is. And it's one of the most beautiful things about death because we do shed all of the pain, all of the anger, all of the sadness. I have sessions all the time where I'm like, your person's trying to make peace for you, not necessarily for them, because we're the ones that carry the sadness. We're the ones that carry the grief, and we're the ones that carry usually the resentment and whatnot. When they're in heaven, they're where they're supposed to be on the other side, whatever that is. They feel nothing but love and happiness.
Right. Stacey, are you able to connect with like animals?
Everything. I can do animals. I can do people. It's insane. There have been sessions I've had where people's pet puppets, oh my goodness gracious, puppies have come through, cats, and I've been able to like specifically say what animal, how, all of that stuff. Like even as I'm talking to you, there's a dog coming through, and it may not be yours. It could be your girlfriend's. I don't know, but it's like that kind of stuff. It's really cool. I love it. I really want to seriously have a session with you because you have a lot of stuff that you're going through and gone through, and you're stepping through where you're going, I really want to do this, but you've got to get out of that but zone because you are holding yourself back from the things that you really want to do, and you've just got to jump. So, just saying.
Woo. That was a lot on there.
That wasn't even the whole
That
full
wasn't
thing.
even all of it.
I
My stomach just dropped. I asked because I have one of my fiance's close friends says that animals don't have souls, so they don't go to heaven. And I was like, and she's like I think she's very Christian. Well, I think she's Christian, Catholic, no Christian. I think she's a very Christian woman. So that like upsets me so much when she says that at like my dinner table, and I was like,
You're
no.
How do they have their own little personalities then? You know what I mean?
That's
like if they didn't have some sort of like, and it's not, I don't believe it's the same type of soul that we have incarnated in our bodies. That's just my personal belief. But it is a soul. It's an animal. It's like meant for that body that they were given.
right.
But I absolutely, because they have their own little personalities and quirks, and what else animates you? It's all part of, again, we go back to like part of source. And so I feel like it's just warm light on the other side for you.
I've always believed that our animals are sent to us by God to kind of be like little guardian angels and to help us learn more things about ourselves and our souls. I mean, they're little blessings, and they have souls. I can feel them. I can tell people when they've passed, how they've passed, what they were going through when they've passed. And if they didn't have souls, then I wouldn't be able to do that. And I'm a Christian. I go to church like that. That's how I roll. And that's just something very dear to me because yeah, why wouldn't they have souls? They're a living, breathing creature with a heartbeat and a personality. So like saying a killer whale doesn't have a soul. You've seen them, you've watched them. They have personality. How do you not have soul without a personality?
Right.
Wait, yeah, however that rolls. Yeah.
Flip that, reverse it. Yeah, we go.
Yeah, thank you. Don't mind me and my dyslexic self. But yeah.
That's all right.
Girl, I'm right there with you, honey. Well, Stacey, it is a pleasure to speak with you, and so happy that we could introduce you to the new Charlotte fam and to Kelvin, who's sitting here with his mouth on the floor
I
listening
literally
to
had
you.
tears in my eyes. She mentioned my dog.
Oh, well, coming soon. Kelvin's reading with Soul Worker Stacy on the. Well, you can figure out and let us know if you want to do it on here or privately. It's fine. We won't make you do it if you don't want to.
Oh, you should do. Wait, so
Stacey, how can people get into contact with you if they're hearing you for the first time and they're like, I need a session, girl?
please. I love my sessions. SoulWorkerStacyRenee.com is where you can book your session. Do it today. I have some availability this month. Also, find me on Instagram at SoulWorkerStacyRenee.
I love it. And we're getting some shout outs from you for people watching. Doe Eyes said, so good to hear you again, Stacey.
Hey! Oh, yes. Thank you so much, you guys.
Let's see. And then Laura Top Life said, I'm glad she's back with the show. Susan said, glad to see y'all are working with Stacey. Amy said, I need to meet with Stacey. I'm ready for a reading. Yeah, so you got some shout outs here today.
It changes your life. It's a whole experience, and it's nothing. It's unexplainable for what I do, how I do it. And it's an experience. And I'm not trying to like blow myself up, because every single session I walk away from so humbled, because it's just, I always believe it's God's work. It's just, okay, all right. I can't believe I just said all that, but I'll take it. Yeah. It's a thing. It's a vibe.
Love it. Well, Stacey, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And we love you.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. And I look forward to talking to you guys again.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Bye, Stacey.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Let's just do some quick shout outs here before we head
You got to
out.
meet with her, Kelvin.
Yeah,
She always
literally.
knows. I don't know
She's awesome.
why we have such weird connection. Like, she will call me on the days when I'm like having the most stressed out anxiety.
It's wild. It is so wild.
During that like few weeks when we were deciding whether or not we were going to take this job, and it was just Holly and I, her family, my family, obviously Scott was in on the discussions, and we were trying to figure it out, but no one knew what was happening because obviously contracts and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
She literally called me out of the blue one day. I remember I was sitting in the Publix parking lot and I had my groceries and I was just like, fuck, like what the fuck are we gonna do? And she texted me and was just like, whatever you're thinking and whatever big decision is on your shoulders, face the wind and go for the challenge. And I was like, what?
You know what?
What? Bitch, how you know?
Right?
Get out
You're
my
like,
brain.
I know. She always knows.
You signed your contract that day.
Right.
know what?
Like, oh my God.
Hey.
That's wild.
So
That's
crazy. Quick shout outs. We haven't gotten to Robert Campbell. Hello, Francisco, watching on Facebook. Ashley, watching for the very first time live. Thank you so much. Julian saying hello. Let's see, who else have we not checked in with? Nomi, checking in and saying hello.
Noemi.
Noemi.
We went through that
That's
whole
right.
thing.
Sorry, and I knew it as I was saying it. And on the Miguel and Holly / Platypus Posse group, Nomi has Noemi. Sorry, I'm always gonna do that. You have to correct
Yes,
me.
it's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Noemi on the Platypus Posse group on Facebook has a really cool post about her kids and their cheer group, and they're looking for some help if you have a couple dollars to spare. So go check that out on our Facebook group. Julia saying hello. Heather checking in. I think I've hit everybody. Oh, Jason, of course, and Veronica. And Katie, who said, finally watching you live. Thank you all so much. We appreciate it. Please make sure to give us a 5-star review, a rating. We appreciate it. And share the podcast with someone, post it on your story. just to get the word out, because I love this little community that we've built and that
Me
we're
too.
continuing to build.
And just real quick, because I think it was Amy that asked for it. It is Soul Worker Stacy Renee, STACYRENEE, soulworkerstacyrenee.com.
All right. Let's see here. Holly, what's your social media?
Mine's Radio Holly on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on the Facebook, but I just don't go on the Facebook that often.
Kelvin?
At Kelvin Live, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, potentially OnlyFans.
Oh, hey. Potentially, girl. Throw out that discount. Mine is Miguel Fuller. I'm everywhere. And please, if you haven't taken the chance, go take a look at the Miguel and Holly Insta. Kelvin is doing some amazing things with our Instagram.
So good.
And I'm like, girl, we look like a professional radio show, honey. Look at this.
I know.
Yeah.
Fancy.
So give his work some likes and some love over there. So we appreciate you, and we will see you next week.
Miguel and Holly Uncensored.
Catch it on the iHeartRadio app or anywhere you listen to podcasts.